Evening peeps, what is good in the hood? How's everyone doing? As always, hopefully you're all doing very, very well. Don't forget as well, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well as I like and share the vids. It is super late, you know. It's just coming up to 11 o'clock. Apologies, I've not filmed in a few days. A lot of you have been reaching out like, Addy, what's going on? Where's the videos? I just had a little break. I went to Manchester for a couple of days. I've only just got back to London, hence why there was no Sunday session today. I know a lot of you reached out to me saying, Addy, where's the Sunday session? Apologies, peeps. I wasn't even supposed to film now. I just met someone in the studio, the person that's going to rig up all the cameras. And I thought, you know what, I'm here. Let's film, all right? I've always got my laptop with me. So let's film and let's talk about a lot that has happened in the last 5 or 6 days. A lot has happened. So this might be a long video. I say that, it could be a short one. But yeah, it might be a long one. I feel like we've only just now got over the Wilder Fury fight. I still feel like a lot of people were talking about that. Deontay Wilder released a statement on his Instagram page, pretty much saying he's going to continue fighting in not so many words. And I think he also paid respect to Tyson Fury at the end, which I thought was nice. I thought it was needed. I did. I understand in the heat of the moment when he kind of told Fury that he still doesn't respect him and go away, go away. I mean, it's going to happen, right? That was real beef, right? That was real beef. A lot of us complain that sometimes with these fighters, they're trying to sell us fights and, you know, they're friends behind the scenes. Nah, you can clearly see with Wilder, there is no friendship there when it comes to Tyson Fury, but I think it's nice and it's important that he kind of pays his respects and then moves on to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, there's some really good fights out there for Wilder. Yes, I mentioned that he could call it quits, but there's a lot of money on the table. There's a lot of money. And, you know, I think he'll have some sort of, he'll feel good eventually that he lost to the guy that's the #1 heavyweight in the division by some distance. So there's no shame in that. There's still some, again, there's money fights out there, right? There is Andrew Ruiz, there's Charles Martin, there's Helenius, there's Frank Sanchez, there's loads of fights out there. There's Dillian White, there's AJ, there's loads of fights out there. All right, let's touch on the action that happened yesterday, and then we can kind of work our way backwards to talk about other stuff as well. You know, I want to start with actually the little conversation, argument, fight between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. Now look, I pray to God that that fight can be made spring of 2022. I pray to God. Do I have any hope or expectation that fight will be made? No, just because this is boxing. Although, you know, we have started to see some good matchups happen recently. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez has got Cambosos. That fight is now on DAZN. And it looks like Devin Haney's going to fight Jojo Diaz. Again, another fight on DAZN. Obviously, Jojo Diaz was supposed to fight Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is injured. If they can get past that, then why not have what will be, guys, let's not forget, an undisputed unification fight. Remember, Devin Haney has a WBC belt. Say what you want to say about how he got it, he's got it. And Teofimo Lopez has all the other belts. Make it happen. Make it happen. It's weird reading the comments underneath their little beef, and everyone seems to think like, oh, Lopez was scared or Haney was scared. The guys ain't scared of each other. Stop that nonsense. Those two guys are fighters and warriors, and I think it's the people behind them that maybe don't want to make the fight. They would fight. They would fight tomorrow because I think both of them genuinely believe they can beat the other, right? And that's what we want to see. I prefer what we saw. I don't like the Twitter beef nonsense when they say things on Twitter about each other. If you see each other, then step to each other. And I like that. I like that. No friendship, step to each other. Both of their dads were going back and forth as well. Did you see a bit there, yeah? I don't know if you guys heard it. Eddie Hearn was talking to the dad, and obviously the dad was a bit irate, saying some things that, you know, he might regret, I don't know, but Eddie Hearn told the dad, just shut up. Did you see that? And Teofimo Lopez stopped what he was doing and said, don't ever tell my dad to shut up. I respect that. I love that, and that's good. That's good to see. But yeah, back to the fight. Hopefully it can be made. It's a big fight if it does happen. I think Devin Haney was like, you know, we're going to fight you on DAZN. He kept on pushing that, which Eddie must love behind the scenes, because that's obviously a big fight, really big fight for DAZN. That's the kind of fights they need. Like DAZN's, I think we can all agree here, DAZN's kind of entry into the US market maybe hasn't gone the way they wanted it to go. In fact, it certainly hasn't gone the way they wanted it to go. This is a fight that would really push them up, right? It's a fight they need. They are going to get, it looks like, Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz on DAZN, which is good. They've now obviously got Teofimo Lopez, Cambosos. They're good, but really and truly, if we're talking about pushing the needle to another level, they need Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. We, as boxing fans, need Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. The one thing I didn't like, which I thought was a bit cringe, I don't know if you saw, they had Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora, and I think it was just those two, and both fighters. And I think Devin Haney said something along the lines of, Teofimo says, I'm more relevant than you. You're only relevant because of me. And Devin Haney says, I'm more relevant than you. I've got more followers than you. And I was like, oh, is this what boxing's got to now? Who's got the most followers? And I think even Teofimo Lopez says that's not helped Ryan Garcia. So yeah, I felt that was a bit cringe. But aside from that, I loved their back and forth. Some people have not liked it. I don't know why. I love it. And I want to see these guys get it on. Out of those so-called four kings, I've always thought that the biggest financial fight, and I might be for me, the best fight is Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis. That's the one where I feel like that's a mega fight. Financially, though, I've always thought it was Ryan versus Gervonta. So I've never really looked at Teofimo and Devin as the big fight. But seeing them two together made me feel like it could become something really big if they get past their opponents that they've got coming up and if they continue to sell it. Another thing that I thought when I saw them was, how big are they for 135 pounds? Like, they're massive 135 pounders. Like, these guys will fight at 147. They might even meet again at 147. Don't be shocked if these guys don't have a trilogy. Don't be shocked if they don't fight at 135, then fight at 140, then fight at 147. Again, that's what we want. We want to see these trilogies. We want to see the best guys in the division get it on. And they are in my eyes, number 1 and number 3, number 4. I still think, I would still favour Loma over Devin. I favour Loma over all the other 135 pounders apart from Teo. So I think Teo deserves to be number 1. I think you might have Devin at number 3 or 4, depending upon what you like. But yeah, hopefully that happens. It's a good fight. They were obviously in Fresno. DAZN put on a card there. Sandor Martin beat Mikey Garcia. Definitely a shock, right? I think it might be the biggest upset of the year. Like, people might say AJ Usyk, that wasn't a really big upset. If you speak to boxing insiders, this one I think is the biggest upset of the year. I know Mikey's been out a long time. I know a lot of people might not know Sandor Martin. I know a bit of him just because you watch those DAZN shows when they go to Spain and Sandor Martin is sometime either headlining or on the card. So I've watched him fight a few times, but still, I never expected him to beat Mikey Garcia, regardless of Mikey being out the ring for 20 months. Mikey is a legit fighter, especially at 140, 147, he's undersized, although he beat Vargas at 147, so he's definitely got credibility in that division, but his division's 140. And I hoped they would have got past Sandor Martin and he would have fought Regis Prograis. And if Josh is still around at 140, then the winner fights Josh. And I wanted it to be Mikey, because I think that's a big fight for Josh in America. He's already beaten Prograis. You don't need to go there again. No one's crying out for a rematch. So Josh has obviously got Jack Catterall in December, and I hoped it would have been a way in which Mikey wins, and then somehow they get that fight. And I know different broadcasters, but somehow you make it work. Now with Mikey, how old's Mikey? Now with Mikey, I don't know. He just looked flat. And again, I don't know if that's 20 months out of the ring or that's his age. He's 33, but he does feel like he's been fighting for ages. I know he had that break because the issue of his contract with Bob Arum, top rank, but he just looked really flat. I don't know if it's him looking super flat or Sandor Martin just being a bit better than I expected. Maybe a bit of both. I think there's truth in both of those statements. I'm not quite sure what they do with Mikey now. Look, I don't know, you can use he was out of the ring for 20 months. It's not like he got knocked down or, he didn't get seriously hurt in the fight. He just got beat. And I'm not quite sure. What happens with Mikey next. For Sandor Martin, you hope it leads to a big fight. It's a big win. I don't know if it will. I don't know if he's going to fight Prograis. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what this does for Sandor. It's a big win on your resume, but does that mean you get another run out in America against a big name at 140? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. But look, nonetheless, great win for him. Disappointment for Regis Prograis. I think he tweeted something along the lines of "fuck," obviously because that's his payday. That was a big fight for him. Again, the winner of that goes on to potentially fight Josh Taylor. Now, if you're Prograis, you have to look around and think, okay, I need to fight someone else at 140. There are other names at 140, but that would have been that would have been the big one for him. So yeah, disappointing. But overall, that card in Fresno was actually a decent card. It wasn't a mega card or anything like that. It was just a decent card. I think the big talking story is obviously about what happened ringside with Teofimo and Devin Haney. Obviously, there was a card that Sky put on, which wasn't the greatest, if I'm honest with you. I still think they're finding their feet. They desperately need an Eddie Hearn-like person. Like Sam Jones would have been perfect. They're almost missing a spokesperson. Eddie kind of played that role. It's almost like you forget how good Eddie was at Sky because he played that kind of, I don't know what people, like some people think of it as a villain. Like some people don't like Eddie, but I love what Eddie was doing with Sky. They need that at Sky Sports. They lack that. And I don't know, they're going to need someone to kind of fill in the Eddie role because what they've got right now isn't quite it. But look, routine wins for Chris Eubank Jr., Savannah Marshall and Hughie Fury. Savannah looked good, but let's be honest, her opponent was extremely limited. Clarissa Shields and Savannah fight on a card here in December together. And obviously, if they both win that, then no doubt they'll have a pay-per-view fight sometime in the spring. For Chris Eubank Jr., there is a lot of talk about Liam Williams. Chris still lacks a lot for me, boxing-wise, skill-wise. Still, look, he's as tough as old boots, but I almost feel like he should be a bit further on in terms of his boxing ability than he is. Still very, very good. But he's been boxing a while, you know. I think Chris turned pro 10 years ago. What has he got, 30 amateur fights? Should be a bit better, I think, technically. But look, it's been a tough few months for Chris. His brother passing away, I mean, most people would sit out the whole year. Your brother passes away, you'd sit out the whole year. So credit him for wanting to kind of get back on the horse, so to speak, and fight. There is a lot of talk about him versus Liam Williams now, which is a complete sort of change of mind from Chris. I remember Chris being interviewed by Trish Dixon, and he asked, I think Trish asked, this is before Liam Williams fought Demetrius Andrade, and I think Trish asked him, would you fight Liam Williams? And he said, who? And now all of a sudden he's mentioned Liam Williams' name, and there's a lot of talk about a pay-per-view fight, him versus Liam Williams on Sky in December. So I think that will be the name. Providing he gets past that, then they'll maybe push him to that elite world level thing, but we'll see. For Hughie Fury, good win. Christian Hamer's tough, right? It's tough. What next? You know, with Hughie, I've always said this. There is this thing where look at Hughie's losses, and he's losing to the top guys. His wins are to the guys outside of the top 20-25. They need to kind of find a happy medium here and get him in with someone within that top 20-25. That's what they need to do. Again, the losses, Povetkin, Pulev, Parker, all guys at the time in your top 10 rankings. And then the wins have all become against guys out of the top 25. In fact, you might look at his resume. The Maris Vac win was good, but Christian Hamer might be the biggest name on that resume as a win. As a win, it might be the biggest name. So we'll see what happens. Lewis Ritson was supposed to be on that card. Ritson is obviously signed to Probellum now. That's why he wasn't on the card. Obviously, the idea of doing that card in Newcastle was because of Lewis Ritson. This Probellum thing's interesting just because, it means that it becomes even more fractured. Look, I'm happy. Again, I've always said this. For fighters, go and get what you're worth. But you look at what we've got now. We've got Queensbury just over here in this small little island of ours. Probellum are going to be doing shows, it seems, over here, I think. Hennessy does his shows on Channel 5, free to air, which is good. Queensbury do their shows. Obviously, you've got DAZN now and Matchroom. And then you've even got smaller promoters that do their thing as well. So what does that mean? That all 5 of those promotional companies aren't going to work with each other? It's good for the fighters because you can shop around and get paid more. But for fight fans, don't celebrate this. It's not great. It really isn't great. It does mean that fights that we want to see are going to be even more harder to happen. It's just how it is, unfortunately. All right, let's have a look and see if there's any news. 2 secs. What have we got here? Seeing if there's any other stuff. I did see that About Time as well, and it's good for British fight fans that Lyndon Arthur will fight Anthony Yarde. Again, that fight was supposed to happen around now, in fact. I think it's supposed to happen like a couple of weeks ago. I think that fight was supposed to happen on the card that I think BT Sports put on the same night Wilder Fury. There was a card that I'm sure Queensberry put on. I think it was supposed to happen then, but regardless, it's happening. I like their little promo video they did, which is quite good. I'm excited for the fight. We know the light heavyweight division over here is really, really hot right now. And one of these guys, if they do win, it might be, I'm trying to think what they do next for the winner. Callum Johnson, potentially, for the winner. Obviously, Callum Johnson with Queensberry as well. I know Joe Gallagher, who manages Callum Johnson, did say, like, Callum's above them and Callum should be looking at world title fights. It's all about that. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. If one of them wins and calls out Callum, it's a big fight and it makes money. So I wouldn't be shocked if the winner fights Callum Johnson. I do pick Anthony Yarde in that fight. I think Anthony Yarde will get the job done. I do feel there might have been a bit of, maybe he underestimated Lyndon a little bit. I think we saw in the final couple of rounds where he hurt Lyndon. And if there was another round, I feel like he would have maybe put the pedal to the metal and stopped him. I do feel with Yarde sometimes there might be a gas tank issue where he's not quite sure about his own gas tank because of what happened when he fought Sergey Kovalev and emptied the tank and there was nothing left. I think if he puts his foot on the pedal, it'll get rid of Yarde. Sorry, get rid of Arthur. I really think that. Honestly do. Bradis beat Artur Man, in 3 rounds. The Sauerlands, I don't know if you saw this, but Cali was basically inviting Lawrence Okoli to Croatia. That's where they want the fight to happen. Sorry, Latvia, apologies. That's where they want the fight to happen. There's this outdoor coliseum. Lawrence Okoli's like, yeah, bring it on. He wants it next. Lawrence Okoli's tweeting about it all the time. He wants Bradis next. He wants that unification fight. I think the plan with Okoli is 1 more year. So 12 months from now, Lawrence Okoli moves to heavyweight. Like, he's got a year left, maybe. But to be fair, though, when I interviewed Okoli about this on the DAZN boxing show, I spoke about, you must want to go to heavyweight. All the money is in the heavyweight division. And he's like, he understands that. But even he himself, yes, he's a big cruiser, but there's a massive jump to heavy. He spars these guys. He knows the difference of, even when he maybe walks around at 15, 10, 16 stone, these guys that he's sparring are still 17, 18, 19 stone. So there's a big difference. So I don't think there's going to be the rush to go to heavyweight because all these advantages, power, size, height, everyone's got power, everyone's big. It's the land of the giants. So I don't think there'll be a rush to go to heavy, but yeah, he wants to do it regardless. Let's see what else we've got. 2-6. And I'm happy to kind of let you guys know this, I was asked to go to America, Canelo Plant, to do some stuff for DAZN, which obviously is massive for me. We're seeing if we can get out there. There's a couple of things that I'm trying to tie up, some loose ends over here, but it's very likely if I don't go out for Canelo Plant that I will go out for Teofimo Lopez Cambosos. So that, again, you guys understand the journey. For me to even be out there covering a boxing event is incredible. So hopefully that can happen. But we'll see. 2 secs, guys. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't know if there is. I don't want to go back too far. This might be a short and sweet video. Did you see the pictures of AJ? So AJ is out in America right now. Obviously Eddie's out there. There is an image or picture of AJ in the Canelo fight camp. I don't know if he's had conversations with Eddie Reynoso. It will be interesting to see if that were to happen and he were to be trained. Look, I'm hearing rumors there will be some changes in his fight camp. I don't know if that's a case of getting Rob McCracken or getting rid of maybe some of the other people in the camp. But Reynoso, although a very good trainer, he does have 2 other heavyweights. Obviously, Andy Ruiz Jr. and Frank Sanchez. Both of those guys are top 10 heavyweights, in my opinion. I have Frank at number 10. I have Andy about number 5. It's kind of rare that a camp would have 3 guys in the same division, all within the top 10. That's kind of rare because there's a good chance you could be fighting one of those guys again. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure if Reynoso is the right one. I do think there needs to be change in the camp. I mean, this isn't discrediting Rob McCracken. He's had some great nights with Rob McCracken, but I do think there needs to be some change. But I'm not quite sure if Reynoso is the right fit. If Reynoso didn't have anyone in the camp in terms of other heavyweights, I think it makes a lot of sense. When you've got potentially other guys that you can fight in the camp, I'm not sure. I would love to have seen it, but I'm not sure. But there's so many good trainers out there, so many. But we'll see. I want to see AJ on the attack more, so less defensive, more aggressive. And I think Abel Sanchez could be a good fit. I actually, sometimes, I remember when I used to watch Abel, when he used to train Golovkin and Gassiev, and I thought, my God, they're too aggressive. Like they need to be a bit more defensive. I don't think AJ needs to be more defensive. I think AJ needs to be a lot more aggressive. So I think Abel Sanchez could be a good fit for Anthony Joshua. But I wouldn't be shocked if AJ is having conversations with a few different trainers out there. I don't know if you can have another top trainer as well as Rob McCracken. I don't know if you can do that. I don't think that's fair on Rob. So I don't think it's a case of someone coming in to help. I think it's a complete switch. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But AJ's definitely out there, I think, shopping around. So again, that's probably a contradiction by saying definitely out there shopping around. But I personally think he's shopping around in America. Because the next fight against Usyk, it's not a must win. It's a must win if you want to fight Fury next, if Fury gets past the winner of Otto Wallin, Dillian White, which I think will be Dillian White. But if you lose, it's a long way back, for those fights that we talk about, like the Fury fight. It's a long. If he were to lose to Usyk, then that Fury fight, considering how inactive Fury is and the ages of both of them, it's a long way off. If he were to win, then we're right back in it. So, yeah, we'll see. Montana Love signed with Eddie Hearn. That's a big signing for Eddie in America. Again, the zone takeover of America has not worked out. Names like that will help. I think Montana Love's a good prospect, so we'll see what happens. 2 secs. Anything else? A bit here about Canelo talking about GGG. There was a lot of talk about that trilogy. Obviously, we've seen a couple of good trilogies recently. Obviously the one being Fury Wilder. That's a trilogy. I was actually on the train back watching their first fight. Technically, that's such a beautiful fight. They both respect each other so much in the ring, but Canelo has said, what has Golovkin done since he fought me? And look, let me have a look at what Golovkin has done. I think he had that Derevyanchenko fight and the Zera Mata all in about 3 years. He hasn't done much in 3 years, Golovkin. Plus he's 39 now. So yeah, since he lost to Alvarez in a fight that I thought was a draw in 2018, 2019 he had 2 fights, Steve Rolls and Derevyanchenko. And so far, since then, only Zera Mata. There is a lot of talk about Murata and that fight being in Japan, I'm hearing. Yeah, Japan, so we'll see. But depends how he looks. I thought he looked good against Zera Mata. I think he looked good on the scales at 160 as well. We'll see. We'll see what happens with GGG. He was one hell of a fight, GGG. Is when you put so much respect on Canelo now, think about it, he beat Canelo the first time round. That's how good he was. Because Canelo is super good, super good. And I think 160 is still the best division for Canelo. And GGG beat that guy. Don't care, it wasn't a draw, he beat him. So that's how good Golovkin was. I'm not quite sure if he's that guy anymore. But I think history is not going to be kind to him. History is going to say he kind of struggled against Jacobs, Derevyanchenko caused him problems, and he didn't beat Canelo. When really and truly, what history should say is he beat Canelo, beat Jacobs, beat Derevyanchenko. 3 solid names, but he ain't going to get that. He's not going to get that respect. All right, let's talk about this. We'll end on this one, actually. And Galahad versus Martinez was announced. And, yeah, it went down like a lead balloon. I always look at the reaction. I mean, Eddie put it up, and I always try and read the tweets underneath it, and people weren't happy about it at all. Someone reached out to me saying, Ade, have a word of the zone. I was like, what the fuck can I do? Although, I will say this, though. I do speak to a lot of the top producers in America. And I do tell them my honest opinion like that ain't gonna go down too well, this and that. For Galahad, look, it's the first defense. It's a voluntary defense. Martinez is solid. Look, was we all expecting more? Yeah, I was expecting more, mainly because you got Lee Wood over here, but obviously Lee Wood's going to fight Condon. But I think the one really is Josh Warrington. Like, if you want to capitalize on all the excitement after that Liverpool card, let's go big with Josh. Josh had that fight. We only went a couple of rounds because of the cut. Josh is fresh. He's ready to go. Kid Galahad has got his belt. Really, it's the belt that Josh vacated or was stripped, however you want to put it. They should have done that. But look, we'll see. I mean, hopefully they add a couple more names. Terry Harper's on the card as well, defending her world title. So let me see if they've got anything else on the card. But I can understand why people are upset. I get it. You know, I'm not silly. I mean, as much as I work for the Zone, I can still have an opinion on some of the fight cards, and we always want it to be a bit bigger. Sorry. It's Terry Harper is on the card. Chris Billiam-Smith defending his European titles. Good to see him back quick against a TBA. So no one announced that, and then a few sort of people that are prospects. Hopi Price on the card. Dante Dixon on the card. So we'll see. Hopefully they can add one more. I think it needs one more. I know what they will say is obviously 2 world title fights in the European title, which isn't bad when you think of it like that. But yeah, Kiko's way past his best. Comes to fight, Kiko's record is deceptive. He's got 10 defeats, but he's not a 10 defeat fighter. Do you know what I mean? There's some guys out there have got double-digit defeats and they're not. Chisora is not a double-digit heavyweight loss. Do you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Rosado is not a double-digit defeat guy to anyone. So Kiko's in that as well. But yeah, you want a bit more than that. I get it, people. Trust me when I say I get it. I said we'll end on this. We'll just talk about this one at the end. Jerrell Miller is now training with Kevin Cunningham. Kevin Cunningham used to train the likes of Devin Alexander. They're saying that Jerrell Miller will be back 2022. I completely forgot about Jerrell Miller. Obviously, he got busted for the AJ fight, right? Took everything and then got busted again. To me, that should be a ban for life, personally, but he's back. I saw him hitting pads with Kevin Cunningham and he looked old. He looked like let me be honest, what I first thought. I saw him hitting the pads and I thought that was Riddick Bowe. I'm not joking, I thought it was Riddick Bowe. Then I was like, shit, that's Jerrell Miller. I don't know where Jerrell Miller is. I don't know what Jerrell Miller's like off the drugs, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if he's a top 15, top 20 guy. There are loads of potential warm-up fights for him, and then he can go straight in the mix. We'll see. Look, he's a name. He brings some sort of excitement. I just don't know how fight fans are going to take to him because of the drug use. But then again, this is boxing, so maybe they will take to him. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Peace. Have a good night. Or you'll watch this in the morning. Have a good morning.